Hey, what's up? This is Will Powers from Evolution of Man, and today I have a clip for you from a seminar that I did. And the specific segment was around the topic of positive masculinity and the importance of reclaiming our manhood. Warning, some of the content in this clip is very controversial and may be triggering and offensive to you. Before I launch into it, I just want to say a couple quick things to give it all some context. Firstly, I strongly feel that men and traditional masculinity gets a very bad rap these days. And that's because it's largely misunderstood and misrepresented in the media. I want to acknowledge that toxic masculinity does in fact exist, and that there are indeed many negative forms of masculinity that have very destructive and detrimental effects on both women and the world. However, it's my strong opinion that the reason for that is because the art and value of true masculinity has become lost, and the positive aspects and forms of masculinity are greatly undervalued and no longer honored the way they need to be and the way that they deserve to be. The other thing I want to make very clear is that I'm a dating and life coach for men. So everything I say and teach is specifically geared towards that demographic and speaking to traditional gender roles and relationships. So with all that being said, make sure you watch to the end of this video because I got a lot of really cool stuff in here for you. By the end of this video, you're going to truly understand what positive masculinity is and all of the traits that it's composed of, as well as why it's so important to reclaim our manhood, especially in this day and age and this political climate. As always, make sure that if you like this video, you give it a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button and click the notification bell to receive notifications anytime I release a new video on this channel. Also, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about all of the things I'm talking about in this video. It's a very controversial topic, the topic of positive masculinity and reclaiming our manhood. So I'd really love to hear your thoughts and opinions about it and get a dialogue going. I'm really curious what you guys have to say. And make sure you share this video with anyone else who you think would benefit from watching it, would be interested in watching it, or would have something to say about it. So I really want to get this out there to as many people as possible. Also, coming soon, I'll have some infield. The next video on this channel will be some infield, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's jump into the seminar clip. And until I see you next time, Will Powers signing off. Peace.
The next point is the agenda to feminize men. So this is really important to understand. There is an agenda to feminize men. There's a lot of certain particular people in certain positions of power that have an agenda to feminize men, and that's because it disempowers men, right? Disconnects men from their power and from their understanding of themselves. And from their connection to their masculine essence, which then gives them access to all of these resources internally, which then they will no longer be seeking approval from external sources, right? So that's really important to understand, is that regardless of what's going on in the world, there is this agenda. And it's really important to understand that there are people who want to keep men disempowered. They want to keep people in general disempowered, but we're talking about men specifically. And that disempowerment is really why men these days are, told to be much more effeminate, and they've lost that core confidence, that ability to know their own value and their own worth, and they're seeking approval and external validation. And another piece of this is division, right? Is to keep people divided. Because how do you control people? You divide them. You turn them against each other, and you divide them. And the best way to divide them is through disempowering them, right? So there's definitely a lot going on to divide men and women, so that they're more looking at each other as enemies rather than people they can collaborate with, right? So that's really important to understand, as well as confusion. They're trying to keep men and women very confused, because nowadays they're basically trying to masculinize women while they're feminizing men. So it's okay. So women are told that they should be more like men, and that's okay for them to be like men. But it's not okay for men to be men. So you have this really fucked up situation where each sex and each gender is basically being conditioned to want to embody the other traits of the opposite sex, and then that's why the gender relations are in such disarray. That's why relationships are so messed up. That's why the dynamics between men and women are so messed up, because they have women not even willing to embrace their own femininity, and they have men thinking that they can't embrace masculinity. And then women, really, they're pissed off because they actually really need real men to step the fuck up to the plate. And then, you know, that's not happening because men are afraid, because they're told that they're not supposed to do that. So all of this is really important to understand on a fundamental level, because that conditioning is still running you. It's still programming you. And the more and more you see it in the media, the more and more you see the reasons to, you know, to not like rise above all that shit, the more it's going to hold you back in game and in life, period, right? So that's really fundamentally important to understand. So also, you know, what the other reason it's important to reclaim our manhood is to get our power back, right? Our power has been taken away from us as men through all of these mechanisms, and it's really important to stop giving our power away. So we gotta stop giving our power away to women. And basically, how do we give our power away to women? Because we seek value in their opinion of us as opposed to our opinion of ourselves. So we have to know that our opinion of ourselves is more important than their opinion of us, and stop giving them our power. And we also have to really make sure that we're reclaiming our birthright. We have to reclaim our birthright. As men, our birthright is to be leaders. Is to be leaders. Now I want to make it really clear, it's to be leaders in a positive way. All of these things are about making a positive impact on women and on the world, right? Leave women better than when you found them, help them evolve and unfold their highest potential, just as you should be doing for yourself. And it's really important that we reclaim our birthright as men, as warriors, with compassion and responsibility. Be compassionate, responsible leaders to actually lead ourselves and humanity and the women that we date and interact with in a more positive direction. And that is our birthright as men. So we have to reclaim that birthright. So then another important piece is really owning our sexuality. So the reality is that because of all the shame and all this programming and conditioning around all these things that I've been talking about, we may have some underlying shame around our sexuality that prevents us from owning that shit. So we have to own our sexuality fully, knowing that it's part of being a man. You can't separate being a man and being sexual. Those things are the same. So you are a sexual being, just as a woman is a sexual being. You are a sexual being, and the more that you can own your sexuality without shame, or you do whatever you need to do to move beyond the shame that's around your sexuality, the more you're going to get, women are going to respond well to you, because this is what women need. It is our gift to women. Women need to feel the sexual energy from a man. It is like their food. Like the feminine, they're like starving for this shit, and only a few men are actually willing to step up and give them this food, right? As men, femininity is kind of like our food, right? We want to feel that feminine energy, we want to feel that feminine sexuality. It's the exact same for women. They're starving to feel that sexual confidence from a man that has no shame, that knows he can own his sexuality and communicate that in a way that he knows how to turn her on. She knows that when it comes down to being in the bedroom, he's gonna know exactly what to do. He knows how to lead her into a seductive sexual experience. And so that's really key, is to own our sexuality. And I guess the reason I'm, again, bringing that up is because that's also part of reclaiming our manhood, right? It's not separate from everything else that we talked about. It's like We're leaders and we're sexual beings, and that's part of our power. So part of our taking our power back is owning our sexuality. So the first point that I want to talk about is understanding positive masculinity. So, you know, nowadays in today's political climate, with the crazy new waves of feminism, I should say.
What's the third wave?
As exactly, the third wave of feminism, as well as the Me Too movement, and just all of the shit in the media, right? It's all this propaganda that is shaming men for just being men, for just expressing sexuality to a woman, or for just anything that is traditionally masculine, right? So it's like not okay for a man to be a man anymore, and that's because of this bullshit about toxic masculinity and all these things that are looked at as negative. And so it's like, wanting men to just feel like they're bad just for being men, right? So the problem is that there's nothing really spoken about positive masculinity and what are all the different positive traits and sides of masculinity. So the first point, the first trait of positive masculinity that I want to talk about is basically purpose and direction, right? So for a man who has purpose in his life, he has purpose and direction, he's on his path. He knows what's important to him. He knows that his purpose comes before all else, including women. Your purpose has to be way more important than any woman, and you have to completely own your purpose. So having purpose and direction, that's a very positive thing, any way you put it, as well as having focus and drive, right? Those are all masculine traits. It doesn't mean, now I want to make this really clear, it doesn't mean that a woman can't have these traits, but they are masculine traits. That's masculine energy, the purpose, the direction, the drive, the focus. Those are masculine things. And so those are things you want to cultivate, right? Another part of positive masculinity is self-determination. Determining who you're going to be. Making sure that you are able to manifest your destiny, your chosen destiny. That you can create the reality for yourself that you want, and you can become the person that you want to be. That's a very masculine thing as well, to determine yourself and your own path. And that's something that you want to cultivate, is the ability to be self-determining, not letting yourself be determined by the outside world, not being in reactivity to the outside world, being the cause and not the effect. Another point is self-discipline, right? Self-discipline is hugely important as it is a very important positive trait of masculinity, because what's self-discipline about? Self-discipline is about self-control. Being able to control your impulses, being able to control your base urges, mastering yourself, mastering your base urges, mastering your lower urges to become distracted, to do things that aren't going to benefit you in the long run. You're able to delay gratification, right? Self-discipline. It's a very positive masculine trait. And also groundedness. Right? Being a man is all about groundedness. That's a very masculine trait, to feel solid and connected to the earth, to feel grounded in your presence. So women feel grounded in your presence. People in general feel grounded in your presence. And basically that creates a feeling of ease, a feeling of safety, a feeling of relaxation. Basically having that ability to know that no matter what's going on, you're grounded in yourself, right? That's a very positive masculine trait as well. Another one would be assertiveness. All right, so assertiveness, what does that mean? It means being able to have very, very strong boundaries, as well as when you take action, you have certainty in the actions that you're taking. You're not second guessing yourself. And you're also, again, you're not reacting, so you're not being aggressive, and that's a big difference, right? And that's a big, huge difference between maybe a negative form of masculinity that is usually shamed And a positive form is like assertiveness, not aggressiveness, right? There's a big, big difference between those two things. And that also means that you have some dominance in the way that you communicate, your body language, the way you interact with people. So those are all very positive masculine traits. And another one is non-reactivity. So non-reactivity, making sure that you're not reacting to other people, you're not reacting to the women. You are, again, at the cause and not the effect, and you are not at the whim of other things. You're able to withstand and hold your ground no matter what comes at you, right? Non-reactivity, which also means emotional non-reactivity, right? Being able to observe your emotions and be able to not react to them, but respond in the moment in the way that you know is best. Those are all very masculine, positive masculine traits. Last but not least is integrity. Integrity is a very masculine trait because what is it about? Integrity is about standing up for what you believe in, right? And not giving a fuck about what other people think about that. And that's something you have to own. You have to own your integrity no matter what. Whatever your values are, you have to stick to them with conviction. You have to stand up for what you believe in and not compromise those values or your integrity for anything. And that's very powerful because people know that they can't sway you, right? You have that inner strength, that conviction about your integrity. And your values and your thoughts and your words and your actions are all in alignment, right? When you have true integrity. And then people know that they can rely on you, they can trust you because you're not wishy-washy. And those are all masculine things. So understanding positive masculinity is understanding all of those traits and understanding why they're important and how they serve the world in a positive way and really cultivating and embodying those things as much as possible so that you can own your masculinity without any of the bullshit programming and conditioning telling you that being a man is wrong or that expressing masculinity is a negative thing, all right? So that's really, really key. Last but not least is understanding our value to women. We have to understand our value to women because as men, we're kind of taught to believe we don't really have that much value to women. You know, we're kind of more the disposable sex. We're kind of more the undervalued sex in society when it comes to, you know, sexuality and relationships. And that's because men don't understand their value to women. So you have to understand how valuable you are to women for a lot of reasons. You're on the basic level, you're valuable to her, and this is what society tells you, you're valuable to possibly provide security financially, you know, you to provide her with children, right, procreation, but you're valuable to women in a different way. You're valuable because you offer them the masculine energy that they need. You offer them the masculine presence. You offer them leadership. You offer them a lot of value. And the other thing is you have a higher sexual market value than you're aware of. Because basically, your value, it just increases with age. As you continue to develop yourself, work on yourself, and evolve in all the different aspects of your life, then your value continues to increase as you get older. It doesn't decrease. You know, as you work on your career more, your finances, your just self-development in general, your health, your fitness, everything, right? Becoming a better and better man. You just become more refined with age, become more valuable, and what does that mean? It means you have more options with women. And we're conditioned to believe that we're supposed to settle down in our 30s and get married. And if you've really explored enough and then found a partner that you really truly love because you've already had a lot of other relationships and interacted and dated a lot of other women, then by all means, if you feel like you want to get married and have kids in your 30s, go for it. But the reality is that most men, they're not doing that. They're settling because they think that that's what they're supposed to do. They think that that's basically what society has told them that is the right thing to do. And there's a lot of pressure, and they're doing it from a scarcity mentality. They're doing it because they don't think that they have options. They don't think they can do any better than the women they're with. And a lot of them know nothing about relationships, so they end up in an unhappy marriage for the rest of their lives. So what's really key is that you don't settle too early. You want to really explore yourself as a man. You want to explore relationships. You want to make sure that you find out what you want in a relationship and what you don't want in a relationship, what you want in a woman and what you don't want in a woman. The only way you can do that is by dating a lot of different women and even being in relationships with a lot of different women, and then you can figure that out. And also, you know, you don't have to settle. Like, the bullshit that we're taught is all just bullshit, because the reality is that if you're offering enough value and you have enough abundance and a woman sees how much value that you have, then you can also, you know, be dating multiple women late into your older ages if you choose to, or you could have an open relationship. And the fact that, you know, a lot of men think that women all want monogamy, that's not really fucking true. If you're giving enough value to a woman where you can have a relationship with her and you're dating other women, but she gets more from you, even though your attention is spread through other women, than she would from one single man, then she's going to be totally fine with that. It's all about the value that you're providing and what it is for you want. So what I'm really trying to like hit home on here is, don't settle for less than what you really, really want. If you want monogamy because that's really what you want, then be monogamous. But if you would rather have multiple relationships and date multiple women, then don't just settle for monogamy because you feel like you can't have what you really want.